We have to do something huge to save our estuaries.
When people started to settle Florida, they found it difficult to live in a place that had very severe climatic changes. After severe years of hurricanes, which caused a tremendous loss of life and property, they decided to ask Washington for help to control these climatic extremes. And at that point in time, that's when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers came down and constructed the Central and South Florida project.
Historic flow from in South Florida was from Lake Kissimmee, and Lake Kissimmee would flow south, and it would actually then end up in Lake Okeechobee. And then Lake Okeechobee would flow south, but when the hurricanes came across in 26 and 28, many people lost their lives around the lake, and the Hoover Dike was authorized and built and completed in 1937. So that 35-foot high dike around the lake confined the lake, and they improved the drainage canals east and west to the St. Lucie and Caloosahatchee estuaries, and that's where the major discharges go. So there's not that connection south anymore to the Everglades, and the Everglades is only getting about 13% of the water from the lake now versus 100% before.
The Central and South Florida project was really constructed and developed for flood protection, and it does a very good job at that still to this day. The problem, though, was that the project was created for flooding alone, and it did not take into account any environmental repercussions that came of that project, such as extreme discharges to the estuaries and the redirection of fresh water to the Everglades.
The St. Lucie Estuary, located here on the east coast of Florida, is a freshwater estuary connected to the St. Lucie Inlet and the ocean, and the Indian River Lagoon, which goes, of course, from Cape Canaveral down to Jupiter Inlet. And so we have this great biodiversity of marine life here because we're in that transition between the temperate and the tropical climates to the south. We have over 4,300 different species of plants and animals. The St. Lucie Estuary, this natural system, is also connected by agricultural canals, namely C44, C23, and C24 canals that enter into the St. Lucie Estuary. And those canals are main drainage areas for agricultural activity around them. The C44 canal is also connected, St. Lucie Canal, to this Lake Okeechobee. And when Lake Okeechobee gets too high, the discharges from the lake into St. Lucie Canal and the St. Lucie Estuary create a huge problem, and particularly in all the nitrogen and phosphorus loading into the system.
The lake, it's 730 square miles. To take 1 foot of water off that lake would fill up the St. Lucie River Estuary 23 times. And that's just 1 foot. Generally speaking, they need to take 3 or 4 feet off that lake when there's a rain event.
We try to warn people about health conditions. And over the past summer, we started sampling in the river weekly for enterococci, which is a indicator of pathogens related to human health. And so we found real high levels, the highest levels we have ever found in the St. Lucie River. And what we do is we post signs, we put up signs around the river telling people to avoid contact with the water. This year we had a blue-green algae bloom, and we tested that and found that it was Microstystis aeruginosus, which is an algae which can release toxins and which is harmful to humans.
Oysters are a very important species in our estuaries. They are known as ecosystem engineers in that the very growth and health of those oysters affects all the creatures in the environment around them. And we use them as an indicator of health of the estuary because, one, they can't move, so they're subject to all the conditions that they experience within the estuary. This year, with the discharges, the oysters were particularly devastated by the freshwater releases. When we had gone out to monitor some of these oyster reefs, we had initially seen mortalities around 50%, and then as the weeks went on, those mortalities went up to 99 to 100%.
This isn't something new. It wasn't very long after they started using the St. Lucie Canal to keep the Lake Okeechobee dike from breaking that the Martin County Commission first complained to Congress. That was way back in 1930. And over the years, the problem has gotten more frequent because we got more drainage, more dirty water, more problems. And not only that, but the problem's gotten worse because an ecosystem gets bruised. And the more bruised it is, the more it gets hurt. So this year, we see things happening that are worse with just a few days of discharge that used to take a long time to happen before. It's easy to look for somebody to blame for it and to get really mad at them. We usually get mad at the federal government because they're the ones that control the discharges. But the whole plumbing system that makes water work or not work in the South Florida is something we asked for. The state of Florida demanded that Congress instruct the Corps of Engineers to drain South Florida. And they designed a system that did what we told them to do, because back then we wanted to get rid of the water. And that whole system needs to be comprehensively rebuilt. We won't do that by simply looking for somebody to blame.
We're trying to restore that, so to stop these damaging discharges to the coastal estuaries and try to put that water south. And we need that connection between Lake Okeechobee and the Everglades.
We can fix it. We can bring it back to where it was. It's not dead yet, but if we keep doing what we're doing, the Corps of Engineers report says the estuary will be irrevocably destroyed.
It's really important that everybody stays focused on being proactive, even though the releases have stopped. But if we forget and we turn away, it's just going to happen again. So please stay engaged.